Hi everyone, I want to share with you my experiences with intermittent fasting. And not a lot of us are out there with PCOS and insulin resistant who can kind of comment on like how the experiences have been. So I just want to share. So number one, my biggest mistake was jumping into intermittent fasting like nosedive. I just jumped in with a big splash, 16-hour fast, and it was painful. It was tough. It was not very practical because it exhausted my cortisol levels. Like I was an adrenals to an extent where I gained 11 pounds in the first week, and I didn't know. Like it was frustrating because I'm like, who gains weight while fasting? Like how is that normal? So turns out it was the cortisol freaking out, my body in shock, all those things. But I kept with it. I just went with my intuition. I just kept with it. That being said, a couple of things with this. First thing is the community of fasting. I'm this like I follow Dr. Jason Fung. So I guess I'm a Fungster. That's the term they use. There's groups out there for Dr. Fung fasting, and also listen to Dr. Berg on YouTube. Many of you, I'm sure, know him. They're both amazing resources. So I ended up in that community, and I'm just looking and watching people and the before and after. It's so exciting. And but I'm also finding there's this like competition or something. I know it's with themselves, but it's also frustrating because you see all these numbers. Oh, I fasted 40 hours, 36 hours, whatever it is, which is amazing. Some people are complaining that they only fasted 20 hours or something, which I thought is kind of an unhealthy disposition or piece to have when it comes to fasting, because the whole point is to heal. And the whole point, I understand, is to reach autophagy, where the cells recycle themselves. But the real question is, as a PCOS sufferer, wait, now what is it that you're trying to do? So for me, the recycling of cells and healing and so forth is eventually going to come in my long-term approach, but I'm more focused on balancing my insulin. So, which will help with the weight, which will also help with other symptoms with PCOS. Jeez. Okay, so now for me, my story. Started off with 16-hour windows, really tough, gained 11 pounds in the first week, freaked out. And then I realized that I should alternate, meaning 16 hours, maybe do 17, maybe go down to 15. That's what I was kind of doing. My suggestion is going slow, because if you maybe do 12 hours, first week, second week 13 hours, maybe in the same week 14 hours, and then go up to the minimum 16 that they usually have for this one, for the 16 and 8, and then 20 and then 4, and some people do 23 and 1. Depends on what your situation is. Only you know with your, in terms of your body. What I found the biggest change for me when it came to finally being able to intermittent fast was the eating window. I was following everyone else's eating window, which is generally, stop eating at 7 or 8, and then eat at 11 in the morning the next day, or 12, right? Depending if you stop at 7 or 8. And that for me was very difficult. I was starving in the morning. I also work where my job actually entails me speaking during the day. So this was horrible. So then I flipped my eating window, and now I eat in the morning. I stop eating at 3, and that's my eating window, and I'm great with it. I get up in the morning, have my food, go to work, have my whatever I need at work, and I'm a happy camper. Of course, I'll switch windows around for social occasions. Of course, you don't want to miss out eating dinner with friends and family. So yeah, to do that. But the key point here is to know what your windows are, what your tolerance is, and not looking at anybody else. It can be quite disappointing and frustrating. Weight-wise, not really much a big shift there. I'm more looking at how is this going to help balance my insulin. Now going back to that part, the differences that I have seen. I had my blood pressure checked, and the first time in my life, and the longest time that I can recall, my blood pressure was 113 over some number, I forget, I can't remember. I always look at the top number, because the top number used to be over 132, between 132 and 139, like it was hitting 140, which they thought was, again, I did an upload about blood pressure, where 130 now is supposed to be the new normal. 113. So huge difference in my blood pressure, which is shocking. It's not like that I'm not stressed or anything. And it's more shocking because I'm intaking a lot of sodium. So during the fasting hours. Positive there. The other thing is the hair. The hair has not been falling as much, and it could be because my body is just, taking a break and just replenishing within. So those two pieces, I was like, wow, this is amazing within the 2.5 weeks. This is crazy. So that has been an obvious positive. Other symptoms and stuff like that will take some time, I think. So that's on that part. Now, if you start fasting, make sure you have the information, read up on it, understand cortisol issues. So I stressed my body out by competing with the idea of having to have higher number of hours to reach what everyone's trying to do, is autophagy, where your cells recycle themselves and clean, and it's healing and all those things, which is amazing. A lot of positive research on that. So you reach autophagy, and this is like, it's kind of a hit and miss here. I'm not really clear. Seems like after 18 hours of fasting, you hit autophagy. Some people claim it's after 24 hours, some say it's 36 hours. So it depends on where you read it. But whatever it is, it's obviously a higher number of fasting, the hours of fasting, where you hit autophagy. That can be your future goal. For me, that's not my goal right now. My goal right now is to balance my insulin and slowly, and hopefully shed the weight and balance myself out. So an autophagy can possibly do that, but I'm not going to raise my cortisol in the stressful mode because I already did that. So going into these communities and people are crying about only doing 20-hour fasts, or they're speaking about doing 7-day fast or whatever it is, suddenly you feel like, okay, what's wrong with me? I can do this. So one day I pushed myself to do 20 hours. And I was just really, I couldn't. It was just so exhausting. I pushed myself too far, and I was stressed out beyond, and I retained the weight. Nothing really moved. Not even the weight. It's more like there was this tension in the body. There was tightness in the body. So it was not healthy, and I knew I overdid it. It takes time to build. Make sure you have the patience to build your hours. Also to jumping around. Like some days I'll do 16, some days I'll do 12, some days I'll do 17. It depends on the day and how I'm feeling and how long I can go for. I'm not making this some sort of competition with myself. It's more about the healing and how I'm feeling. And I hope others also follow that. Also don't compare results with other people. Your body's going to react differently to the fasting, and it does take time. So I want to say about that. Any questions or comments, let me know. I'm going to link below Dr. Jason Fung talks, even the Facebook group that he has, and Dr. Berg, and if you're not familiar with them. Just have the information in front of you, but one of the common elements I'm sure PCOS sufferers with insulin resistance will experience is relatively no weight loss, but make sure you keep eating consistently and clean. And perhaps too, I should say, I stopped eating fruits to now help with the insulin issue. So I don't know fructose, nothing. I just eat fats, meat, and some vegetables, and that's it. So, and the rest is tea and coffee, and that's it. So that's something to consider as well. Okay, any comments or thoughts? Let me know. Hope you're all well. Take care. I'll be in touch soon. Bye.